Imagine a woman who's always been the rock of her family. The one who shows up, pays the bills, and never forgets a birthday. Now picture her sitting alone, on a folding chair next to a dumpster, at her sister's engagement party. This is the story of Lauren Mitchell, a 32-year-old financial analyst from Chicago, whose life unraveled and rebuilt itself in ways she never expected. It's a tale of betrayal, buried secrets, and the fight to reclaim her worth. A story that grabs you by the heart and doesn't let go. Lauren was the eldest daughter in a family that wore closeness like a mask. Reliable, meticulous, and selfless to a fault. She lived a quiet life in a sleek downtown apartment, her days filled with spreadsheets and deadlines. To her family, she was the invisible glue, the one who paid off student loans, covered mortgage gaps, and showed up to every holiday with a smile, no matter how often she was overlooked. But in their loud, chaotic world, Lauren was never the star. That role belonged to her younger sister. Mia, 28, was a firecracker, charismatic, reckless, and always the center of attention. She'd flunked out of college, burned through jobs, and moved back home without a plan. Yet their parents, Tom and Diane, treated her like she walked on water. Mia's charm was a force of nature, pulling everyone into her orbit, while Lauren stood just outside it, invited to family events, sure, but never truly included. At weddings, she was there, but never in the photos. At dinners, she was present, but always on the edges. "Lauren, you're so serious," her mother would say, brushing off her contributions with a laugh. "You should loosen up." Lauren told herself it didn't sting. She buried the hurt, sent the checks, answered the late-night calls, and kept showing up, hoping one day they'd see her, not just her bank account, but her. She'd paid her own way through college, held a steady job at a top firm for over a decade, and even bailed her parents out when Tom's construction business hit a rough patch. But those sacrifices? They were invisible. Mia, with her drama and dazzle, was the one who got the applause. The crack in Lauren's carefully built armor came in the fall of 2024. At a rooftop restaurant in Chicago's River North, Mia had just gotten engaged to Jack, a steady architect with a quiet charm, the opposite of her chaos. Their parents decided to throw a lavish engagement dinner, the kind of event they'd never spring for on their own. Looking back, Lauren should have seen the red flags when Diane called her, voice dripping with honey. "Lauren, sweetheart," Diane said, "it'd mean the world if you came to Mia and Jack's engagement dinner. It's going to be so special. Mia's counting on you being there." Lauren agreed without hesitation. Then came the ask. "Just one tiny favor. Could you handle the reservation? Just for now. We'll pay you back. You're so good with these fancy places." Lauren, as always, said yes. She told herself it was for Mia's big day. She called the restaurant, secured a private rooftop space for 20, and put down a $500 deposit on her credit card. It didn't matter. This was for her sister. Maybe this time, she'd feel like she belonged. The night of the dinner, Lauren arrived at 7 p.m. sharp, dressed in a sleek black dress she'd saved for special occasions, a silver necklace glinting at her collarbone. She carried a bottle of vintage champagne in a custom card with Mia and Jack's initials inscribed, "To Mia and Jack. May your life together be filled with love and joy. With all my heart, Lauren." The rooftop was breathtaking, string lights twinkling overhead, white roses on every table, a jazz quartet playing softly in the corner. Her family was already there, Tom and Diane, Mia and Jack, Jack's parents, and a handful of friends, all laughing, clinking glasses, lost in celebration. Lauren stepped forward, expecting a wave, a smile, anything. Instead, Mia turned, her lips curling into a familiar, smug grin. "Oh, hey, Lauren," she said, barely glancing at the champagne. "Glad you made it." She gestured toward a lone folding chair tucked awkwardly near the kitchen's trash bins. "Sorry, these tables are for family only," Mia said, her voice laced with mock sympathy. "But there's a spot for you over there. Figured you'd like the quiet." Lauren froze. A joke, right? She looked to Diane, who offered a tight smile and looked away. Tom raised his glass with an awkward nod. Jack seemed confused but stayed silent. A few guests chuckled, their laughter slicing through her. It was middle school all over again, standing alone at a cousin's birthday. Told she didn't fit the vibe. Lauren's throat tightened, her ears burned, but she walked to the chair, set the champagne down, and sat, coat still on. A waiter approached, hesitating. "Are you with the party?" he asked. She nodded, unable to speak. He handed her a glass of water, his eyes flickering with pity, and left. For nearly 2 hours, Lauren sat there, watching her family toast, laugh, and open gifts. Mia gave a speech about being surrounded by the people who matter most. Jack called Diane the future best mother-in-law, and Diane teared up. No one asked if Lauren wanted to order. No one glanced her way for over 30 minutes. The dessert arrived, a towering cake with edible gold leaf, as the sun sank below the Chicago skyline, painting the night in hues of orange and purple. Lauren realized she'd become invisible. Then the bill came. The waiter, holding a leather folder, paused at the main table before walking toward Lauren. "Excuse me," he said softly, "the total for the event is $5.218. Would you like to charge the balance to the card on file?" Every head turned. Mia raised an eyebrow, waving a hand. "Oh, right. Lauren's got it." Like always. Lauren smiled, calm, steady, lethal. Her voice cut through the jazz. "That's not my table," she said, loud enough for all to hear. "I was told it's for family only." Silence crashed over the rooftop. Mia's mouth fell open. Diane's face twisted in confusion. Tom stiffened. Jack's father, a gruff contractor named Robert, narrowed his eyes. The waiter stood frozen, the folder dangling like a grenade. Lauren stood, grabbed her coat, and nodded toward the trash bins. "Apparently, that's where I belong." She walked to the stairs, no elevator, no hesitation, each step fueled by a clarity she'd never felt before. The cold Chicago air hit her like a shockwave as she stepped outside. But she kept walking, heart pounding, free for the first time in years. What Lauren didn't know was that her stand would unravel a web of lies. Days later, her Aunt Claire, a no-nonsense interior designer, called with a bombshell. Lauren's grandmother, Margaret, had left her a $150 trust fund for her education and future. Accessible at 25, but Tom and Diane had used it for Mia's college, a car, their mortgage, without ever telling Lauren. The betrayal cut deeper than the folding chair. It wasn't just about a seat. It was about a family that had taken her for granted, used her inheritance, and left her by the dumpster. This was only the beginning. Lauren's refusal to pay sparked a chain reaction. Jack's family questioned Mia's integrity. The engagement teetered, and buried truths began to surface. Lauren's journey to reclaim her worth had just begun, and it would force her family to face the consequences of their choices, or lose her forever. Picture a family unraveling, threads of lies and unspoken hurts pulling apart at the seams. Now imagine a woman at the center of it all, not seeking revenge, but something far braver, healing. This is Lauren Mitchell's story, a 32-year-old Chicago financial analyst who, after being cast aside at her sister's engagement dinner, sparked a reckoning that would transform her family. What began with a folding chair by a dumpster led to a journey of truth, therapy, and redemption that will keep you hooked until the very last word. After Lauren's bold exit from Mia's engagement dinner, the fallout was seismic. Her refusal to pay the $5.218 bill, a bill her family assumed she'd cover, as always, left them stunned. Mia's fiancé, Jack, and his father, Robert, a no-nonsense contractor, were furious at the disrespect shown to Lauren, the woman who'd quietly funded the night. The engagement teetered, and whispers of Lauren's stand spread like wildfire. But the real bombshell came from her Aunt Claire, Lauren's parents. Tom and Diane had secretly used a $150 trust fund left by her grandmother Margaret, meant for Lauren's future, to bankroll Mia's college, car, and their mortgage. Lauren was reeling, but she wasn't ready to burn bridges. Instead, she chose a path few would have the courage to take: therapy. The first session with Dr. Helen Carter, a seasoned family therapist with a warm demeanor and a knack for cutting through facades. Was held in a cozy Chicago office painted in soft blues and grays. Lauren sat across from Tom and Diane, the air thick with tension. Mia's chair was empty, she wasn't ready to face the truth. Dr. Carter's voice was steady, inviting honesty. "Why are we here?" she asked, her eyes scanning the room. Diane spoke first, her hands fidgeting. "I didn't realize how much we'd hurt Lauren," she admitted, her voice cracking. "Mia's always been loud, demanding. Lauren was the easy one, the one who didn't need us. I thought her kindness meant she was fine. But I see now we treated it like weakness." Her words hung heavy, a confession years in the making. Tom, a quiet man who'd always hidden behind his work, went next. "I ignored Lauren because she didn't seem to need fixing," he said, eyes on the floor. "Mia was always in crisis, and I felt useful helping her. Lauren, she was so capable. I didn't think she needed me." Dr. Carter leaned forward. "She didn't ask for help, but she offered it. Do you see the difference?" When it was Lauren's turn, her voice was steady but raw. "I thought if I kept giving money, time, love, they'd see me as family. Not just a bank account or an emergency contact. But I became invisible. I kept showing up, hoping to belong, but I was just useful." The room fell silent. Dr. Carter's question cut deep. "Why did you keep playing that role, Lauren?" After a long pause, Lauren whispered, "Because I wanted to be loved, even if it was scraps." That session was the first crack in the dam. Dr. Carter gave them homework. Write down what a healthy family relationship looks like. Lauren wrote about mutual respect, not servitude disguised as love. Diane wrote about seeing each child as an individual, not a role. Tom wrote about parenting without fear. But Mia's absence loomed large. Days later, Lauren's phone buzzed. It was Mia, her voice small, almost unrecognizable. "Mom and Dad are in therapy," she said. I think I want to go too." Lauren was stunned. Mia, the untouchable star, was crumbling. Jack had ended the engagement. Her friends had drifted, and her perfect world was collapsing. "I don't understand why this is happening," Mia said, her voice breaking. "I didn't mean to hurt you that night. I wasn't thinking." Lauren's response was calm but firm. "That's the problem, Mia. You never think." The next session was different. Mia sat in the circle, her usual confidence replaced by a quiet vulnerability. Dr. Carter asked them to share their homework. When Mia's turn came, she read from a crumpled paper, her voice shaking. "I felt entitled," she said. "I assumed Lauren would always be there, picking up my messes. I saw her generosity as something I could take without giving back. I didn't see her as a person, just a tool." Tears streamed down her face. "The worst part is, I knew it deep down. But it was easier to blame her than face myself." Lauren's heart ached, not with anger, but with the faint hope of change. Then came the trust fund. Lauren brought it up in the third session, her voice steady but cold. "My grandmother left me $150 for my future. You used it for Mia's college, her car, your mortgage, without telling me." Tom and Diane paled. Mia's eyes widened. "Wait, what trust fund?" she asked. Lauren explained, and the truth hit like a thunderclap. Mia turned to their parents. "So, my entire life, college, my car, it was Lauren's money?" Tom nodded weakly. "Technically," Dr. Carter cut in, sharp. "Not technically. It was her money, taken without her consent." Mia sobbed. "I treated you like garbage. And you were paying for everything." Dr. Carter steered them forward. "This truth can be a weapon or a starting point. What do you want, Lauren?" Lauren took a deep breath. "I could sue, but that would destroy us. I want repayment, but more than that, I want change, real change. Not just words." Diane leaned forward, eyes wet. "We'll pay you back, Lauren, and we'll change, I promise." The months that followed were a grind. Bi-weekly therapy sessions peeled back layers of pain. Mia started individual therapy, confronting her entitlement and manipulation. She got a job, not a temp gig, but a real one. As a marketing coordinator, she proposed a repayment plan, $300 a month. A stretch for her but proof of her commitment. It's not much, she told Lauren, but it's a start. Lauren was moved. It wasn't the money, it was the effort. Tom and Diane changed too. They sent monthly repayments, small but consistent, and stopped treating Lauren like an ATM. At Thanksgiving, old habits surfaced when Diane asked Mia to do dishes and Mia quipped, "Why not Lauren? She's better at it." The room froze, but Mia caught herself, blushing. "I'm sorry, old habits. I'll do it." It was a small victory, but it mattered. Mia's relationship with Jack began to mend. Not as lovers but as friends. Jack, shaken by the dinner, had seen Mia's true colors but noticed her efforts to change. They started talking, cautiously, and by spring, they were dating again, slowly, with boundaries. Lauren, meanwhile, was rewriting her own story. Therapy taught her that love isn't servitude. She set boundaries, said no and started living for herself. She took up painting, traveled to Italy, and met Nathan, a kind, grounded volunteer at a local charity. On their first date, he insisted on splitting the bill. "I'm not old-fashioned," he said, grinning. "I'm fair." Lauren fell hard. A year later, the family gathered at Lauren's apartment for a new Thanksgiving tradition. Before dinner, they shared deep gratitude. Diane said, "I'm thankful we faced the truth, no matter how hard." Tom said, "I'm thankful I'm learning to love without fear." Mia, her voice steady, said, "I'm thankful Lauren showed me what real love looks like, with boundaries. Not entitlement." Lauren smiled, tears in her eyes. "I'm thankful healing is possible. And I finally belong." Mia and Jack announced their re-engagement. This time planning a small, meaningful wedding they'd pay for themselves. At the ceremony, Lauren was maid of honor. Mia's vows to Jack were raw. "I promise to see you, not use you, and to be the partner you deserve." During the reception, Mia raised a glass to Lauren, who taught me what family means. The room stood, toasting Lauren, and for the first time, she felt seen. A year later, Mia and Jack welcomed a daughter, naming her Margaret after Lauren's grandmother. "We want her to grow up knowing love with respect," Mia said, asking Lauren to be godmother. Lauren, now 37, married Nathan in a quiet ceremony, her family embracing him without expectations. Her life was her own, not defined by what she gave, but by who she was. Lessons learned. Love requires boundaries and mutual respect. People can change, but it takes time, effort, and often professional help. Truth is the first step to healing. Your worth isn't what you give, it's who you are. Lauren's journey from a dumpster sideshow to the heart of her family proves that redemption is possible. But only when everyone dares to face the truth.